me see. There we go. Okay. There we go. Let's see. Come on now. There we go. Hold on 1 second, guys.
Yeah, you got YouTube back up now.
Yeah, but it's under a different title, which stinks. Hey, guys, thanks for sticking with us. We had a little technical issue. We are attempting to fix it here, so pay no attention to the title. Yes, we're back, Vibrator. Thank you. We have, by the way, when you say his name is Vibe Raider.
No, that's
say that.
That's her. That's my girl, Valerie.
Oh, that's Valerie. Hi, Valerie. When I said your name fast, I realized what it said.
She's got a pretty wild sense of humor.
So we are back. Sorry if you're with us on YouTube. It's under an old title for some reason. YouTube is giving us all kinds of problems tonight. So if you're there, great. If you're on Twitter, it's a second stream. But we appreciate you being with us. And I interrupted Murphy. Was on a good rant there. But we are back here with you, and hopefully you guys are all following us over there. Unfortunately, the original stream cut out on us, so we're trying to get back up and going. But anyway, so you saw all this with Aiden O'Connell. You see what's going to happen. You see what's happening with the coaches. It's just going to be an up and down thing, and people got to ride with it. I know it's emotional for fans, and I get it. Like, that's, you want your team to do well, but you got to be encouraged, and I think people have to be happy that at least things are going in a direction where you can say, okay, there's progress being made. I mean, remember how difficult it was to it's the definition of insanity, right? Which is you do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Well, the Raiders have changed the way they're doing things, and the results have changed.
Yeah, and we've had nothing but we've been in a constant state of aggression since the 2021 season, since the closure of that, when we had I don't want to pick on anybody in particular, but we had, we'll just say, a rough series in the red zone against the Bengals there in Cincinnati. Ever since then, we've been in a period of regression. So to now be in a position where the team is actually ascending and the team is actually improving week over week. Yes, I know it's only been 2 weeks, but again, you can't tell me as a Raider fan that you can't look at this organization and the direction that it's trending and the energy and the spirit and the culture and everything that's changed. It feels good to be a Raider fan right now. It didn't feel good to be a Raider fan 3 weeks ago. It felt like shit. Oh, sorry, I keep swearing.
That's okay. It's late night. Hey, it's morning in my time zone, so we're good.
All right. Well, it felt like ass to be a Raider fan a few weeks ago, man. It was terrible. I mean, the team was terrible. The culture was terrible. The messaging was terrible. You had fans yelling at the owner. You had, whatever. You guys know what it was like. It wasn't that long ago. And so to now have that kind of a change, even if it's just been 2 wins, but the absolute spirit of the organization has flipped. And I'm telling you, there's even going back to last week when it was a week ago this last Friday when we were in Vegas for the Biletnikoff Foundation Crab Fest, and so many of the Raider legends are in attendance. I mentioned at the top of the show us getting to meet Mike Haynes for the first time. Of course, we talked to Freddie. We talked to Jim Plunkett. We talked to Phil Villapiano. We met Antonio Pierce. Brian Kelly is there. Senator Douglas Morgan was there. Of course, Mark Davis is there. I mean, I go on and on and on. A lot of Raider brass was there. Everyone was fired up. Everyone had energy. And that was before they ever even played a game under this new regime. And so now to have that energy to carry now what's going on in this season, I'm telling you, it's palpable. That's the word I'm looking for. It's palpable, Raider Nation, that there's something different going on. And there's something different going on. And frankly, this is the most energized I've felt. I'm not trying to overshoot this thing. And I know pump the brakes and keep perspective. And I know save all that for me, but I'm an emotional guy and it's an emotional game and whatever. This is the most excited I've been about the Raiders since probably 2016. And I genuinely mean that, because when John Gruden came in, yeah, we were kind of fired up, and it was like, oh, the return to Chucky and all that kind of stuff. But he traded Khalil Mack. And you know what I mean? And it was like, oh, wah, wah, you know what I mean? And then we didn't do anything with it. We didn't, it was just there was a decline after that. And then, of course, they started to ascend a little bit. But then you had the Gruden firings. We were pretty fired up. I'll take that back. The win against the Chargers for us to make the playoffs was pretty exciting. I was very excited, and being there and watch that game live with my Uncle Mosh there in Vegas, and we had an absolutely amazing time. That was pretty incredible experience, and Raider Nation was riding pretty high after that. That was 1 week, and then the next week it was over. And then we've been in regression, as I mentioned, since then. So really, outside of that one blip on the radar, this is the most anticipation, like excitement that I've had around the direction of this organization in a very, very long time. And I will say this too, it's not just Antonio Pierce, it's Brian Kelly and Sandra Douglas Morgan. And I'm so glad they called out the idea that that's the first 3 African-American folks that have led an organization. Incredible. Mark Davis following in his father's footsteps of being a Maverick. And I loved his comment. He said, oh, I didn't even think about that. I was just bringing in the people that I thought were going to do the best job. That's what it's all about, being a Raider. And that's what's going to freaking propel this organization to the next level, y'all. I'm telling you, we are on the precipice of something big. I'm already bought in on Antonio Pierce. I'm so bought in, especially after this. I was bought in last week, but now I'm the guy drives a freaking Impala. He's from Compton. He freaking, like, he's a Raider. He will tell you that. Like, what else do you want? Like, what? And I'm going to say one more thing, Scott, and I promise I'll shut up, but I feel like I didn't talk to you last week, so I got so much to get off my chest. I had this realization. It takes a very unique and special individual to coach the Raiders, because the Raiders are so unique and special. They're different. You can't plug and play coaches. You can't take some other bullshit way and try to make it a Raider thing. No, you got to take Raider things and make them Raider things. You got to be a Raider to do Raider shit. Like, we're so unique to our own. It's a completely individual and I keep using the word unique, but it's so different than the way that other organizations are run. We talked to Lincoln Kennedy, was another one we interviewed last week. And he said it. He said, everything this organization does is unique except play football. That's it. Other than the play on the field, everything else the Raiders do is completely different from every other NFL team. That's what a head coach has to understand in order to have success coaching this football team. This isn't just coming in and coaching the damn Jaguars. And I'm not crapping on Jaguar fan, or coaching the stupid Chargers, who are whatever. I'll save the Charger rant. But you guys get my idea here. This is not a plug and play organization. And we don't have a plug and play guy. That's why this thing is going to work. And that's why I'm so fired up.
Well said there. I'm sure lots of folks believe in that and hear you too. I see it in the chat, and it's good. Also, our good friend Rossi down in Australia says Irish cannon to the Irish bulldozer for a touchdown with the mayor, which is pretty funny. So a lot of people are having fun with it, which is great, because you got to enjoy the wins when they come, no matter how many you get. But you hit on something there too, which I know that the broadcast team tonight on the Sunday night game talked about. In fact, the whole pregame, they did a lot about it, was what you were just talking about, which is the Raider way, right? Because this whole Patriots West stuff that came in and failed miserably, Mark Davis realized it. And that's part of the reason he made the move he made. Was that's not who we are. Who we are is we're the Raiders, and we have a way of doing things. Even if it's been a long time since it's been successful, the fact of the matter is it's a culture. It's a culture inside the building. It's a culture for the fans and people who don't understand it. And I used to be one of those until I started covering the Raiders almost 8 years ago. I didn't get it either, right? So, and being inside it and getting to know people, I get it. And so I think for outsiders, they don't quite get it, but Mark Davis does, and obviously Antonio Pierce does, and that's a big deal. We have to also talk about the defense, right? We talked about Robert Spillane with the big touchdown. The Raiders lost Nate Hobbs in this game to injury. He went out, Amik Robertson, not Nate Hobbs, Amik Robertson as well. So they were already thin there. Tyler Hall comes in and does a pretty good job. There were moments for that defensive backfield, but there's going to always be moments. And I just like what this defense has been able to do. And up front tonight, Max Crosby was disruptive enough. They really keyed in on him. The Raiders still need somebody on that other side to make a play here and there. Divine Diablo did tonight as well, which was good. So I like that you're seeing these younger players develop at a rate that is increasing week by week. Again, the Raiders tonight did not give up a touchdown, right? So that you go back the last 3 games, they've given up 3 touchdowns. That's very encouraging. And have they played the best offenses in the world? No, Detroit's pretty dang good, though. You saw what they did today. So going in against Miami, yeah, it's going to be a tough one, Murph. But this defense, I think, has a swagger to it, and it has a confidence level that is increasing. They, again, had to do what they had to do to help win the game, but that's what you want. You want complementary football, and they got complementary football at the key moments when it mattered most.
Yeah, and you know, it's often noted that teams take on the personality of their head coach. Well, what was Antonio Pierce? He was a freaking grinder, badass linebacker. Like that was what, and that his persona is really what the entirety of that Giants defense was that he played with. And that was the Giants defense that took out the Patriots twice. And, oh, yeah, by the way, on one of those ones, it was when they were, you know, the only team that's gone undefeated throughout the regular season, the playoffs, not named the Miami Dolphins. So the idea that that's what he personifies, and now that's what he's bringing to this secondary, or excuse me, that's what he's bringing to this defense. And so I think it's prevalent. I mean, you can't, again, you go to the eye test. You go, what do your eyes see, Raider Nation? When you watch a Raider game, this defense looks different. They're flying around the football. I'd like to see a little bit more wrap up in the secondary, Marcus Epps and freaking Decorian Bennett. Like, Decorian Bennett, this ain't the ACC, man. You can't just go throwing your number 0 into guys and expecting them to go down. It ain't going to happen. Right. You got to go in there and put some dang hands on folks. But anyways, outside of that, I mean, you see an inspired play. And even though, as you mentioned, you know, Max Crosby had a Max Crosby game, and unfortunately we didn't see some of the interior pressure that we saw last week, and we definitely want to still see some consistency there. We want to see Tyree Wilson get better. I was looking for him, really hoping for him to have a play late on that last Jets drive, but unfortunately, you know, he just kind of gets sucked up in the blocks a little bit. But the point is, though, despite the challenges, they're playing inspired, and they're just making plays when they have to. And so we can cite all the negatives, but at the end of the day, the defense did enough to win this game, and the defense was the one that closed this game out. So let's rest on that. Let's live in that, Raider Nation, until there's a reason not to. But anyways, bottom line, this team has taken on the spirit of Antonio Pierce offensively and mostly defensively. Scott, don't you think?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. 100%. And it's true. The organizations, teams, units, they do take on the attitude of their leaders. And so he's got them fired up. You saw too, after the game, the dancing going on in the locker room. This team is happy. You know, they feel free, and when you feel that way, you perform your best. So at least if the Raiders can be the best team that they are right now with the talent they have on the roster, that's all you can expect from them. I do have a chat from, let me see this. Where is it go? It just rolled down on me. Somebody was asking if oh, here it is. 2 red rings. Are we going to be in danger of losing our DC, Patrick Graham, to another team as head coach? I don't think so. I mean, Patrick Graham's doing a great job. But remember, he doesn't have that much experience even as a defensive coordinator. So he had the year before he got to the Raiders with the Giants, and then now he's in his second season as defensive coordinator. So it's 3rd overall, and I don't think so. What happens with this staff afterwards if Antonio Pierce ends up earning the job and becoming the head coach, next head coach, the permanent head coach, then I would expect him to stay. If that doesn't happen, then as in most coaching changes, you see most of those guys go. So we'll see what happens there. But I agree. Patrick Graham deserves a lot of the credit because he got a lot of the criticisms last year, and some of those were fair. But for whatever happened that week of the Charger game, that's because that's when that defense started turning. It made a big difference, and this team is playing to the best of their ability. Yes, they have some holes, no question, but that's okay. I think you have to you play with who you have, and if you can get the most out of them, right, Murph? That's what you have to do as a coach. Is you might have a position you're thinner at, And you just got to get the most out of the guys you have. And that comes down to the coaches and the staff there. And the whole defense, you got to give everybody on that staff credit for what they've done and how it's changed the trajectory of this team so that the offense can catch up and start to get moving, which they have started to do.
Yeah, I think that's the true talent of coaching, is that capitalizing on the strengths of what players you have in the building. Like what can they do well? What does Bob Spillane do well? What does, Jenkins do well? What does Max Crosby do well? What does Marcus Epps do well? I don't care. You pick a player on the defensive side of the football. What do they do well? And then put them in the positions to take advantage of that. Don't try to pack them into some box that they don't belong and having them do something. It was like, to go to the offensive side of the ball and just to cite something. So we did a lot of this man blocking up front with the offensive line under Josh McDaniels' offense. And then after Bo Hardegree comes in, now we're in more of a zone blocking scheme because, we have athletic offensive linemen, and that's what they do better. They're better at that than they are in man-to-man. We don't have Trent Williams there, so we can't just line up and maul people. We got to get a guy like Colton Miller moving. You know what I mean? Because that's what he does well. And so that idea that you put your players in positions to be successful, that's what I think is what is the mark of a good coach. Did Patrick Graham get an unfair rap from us as fans, me included? I'll put my hand up. I had a paper bag over there that says fire Patrick Graham along with Josh McDaniels. But did he get an unfair rap because he was freaking handcuffed by Josh McDaniels? And now that the cuffs are off, he's able to do some pretty impressive things, I think, with this defense in terms of the movement, in terms of the blitzing, in terms of those things. And, so to answer the question in the chat, would Patrick Graham move on as a head coach? I don't think so, because typically you see offensive coaches are the ones that get on the move, other than like Vrabes, other than maybe DeMeco Ryans. Like typically it's your offensive guy. But I'll tell you, the guy that could get marked and he won't get picked up as a head coach, but could get picked up as I don't know what his contract looks like, but get picked up as a coordinator somewhere, is Bo Hardegree. That guy keeps calling good games, and he takes this offense that couldn't score 20 points. And now, of course, I know we didn't do it again tonight, but that was a different kind of defense we're playing tonight. But we'll see how the rest of this year plays out. If we start putting up consistent numbers on offense, that's the guy that people are going to target. And, they're going to someone's going to want to bring him in to be the offensive coordinator. And I think that's going to be a challenge. And I think you guys even mentioned this, and if I'm repeating it, something that I don't want to just repeat your and Mo's thoughts, but I think that's going to be a challenge if Antonio Pierce is retained, as you mentioned. He's going to cycle through these offensive guys if he has success, because that's not something that he does. So he's going to continually having to be, hitting the well for offensive minds to kind of come up and to handle that side of the ball for him.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I look at this too. One of the things that I like most about Antonio Pierce is something he said last week when somebody asked him, well, you tell us about how, Mark Davis says you have a chance to earn the job. And he quickly shut off the question. He said, listen, I'm not worried about then. I'm worried about now. My job is to coach this team now and to focus these players on this week. So if we do well, if we do our jobs and we do a good job there, then guess what? That stuff will take care of itself. And I know it's natural for us in the media, fans, you name it, to look at this and say, okay, what does the future look like? But right now, he's not even worried about that. And I don't think anybody on that staff is too. They just want to be successful for the guys they have in the locker room, because they've obviously through this gotten so close and believe in one another. And so you have to just take it as it goes. The future isn't going anywhere. It's going to happen. Something's going to happen. Once the season's over, however it ends for the Raiders, they're going to decide on who the full-time coach is going forward, whether it's Pierce or somebody else, and then you worry about it. But right now, you got to worry about football games. Right now, if I'm Antonio Pierce, I'm probably not even enjoying the win. I'm going back to the office and saying, okay, how the hell do we stop Tyreek Hill, right? Because that Miami offense is high-powered, and they have not faced an offense like that yet. Okay, there's not many in the NFL that good. So, and it's struggled the last few weeks too. So what are they going to see? We don't know. But they're going to have to come up with a plan to do it. And that's what he's focused on. And you guys should all be happy that that's what he's focused on. He's not focusing on something down the line. He's focused on winning football games now, because he knows the only chance he has to be head coach full time is if he wins more football games. So guess what he's going to do? He's going to focus on winning football games, which is a good thing. That's what your coach should do. He's not worried about it. And that in itself too, Murph, is very freeing because, again, the team senses that. The team knows, I'm not worried about my job, man. I'm worried about you guys coaching you up, making sure we got the right game plan to put wins on the board, maybe get us in the position where we might actually be on the cusp of making the playoffs. So that is very refreshing. And it's not political. You don't have any issues there. You don't have any dealing with all the crap they dealt with the previous coach. So it's a good time, I think, to be a Raider fan, to feel good about what's going to happen the rest of this year. And then you see where it goes on from there.
It's all about enabling others to their own successes, and your success will be a residual of those. And that's what it's all about. That's what he's doing. Antonio Pierce, and I mentioned Champ Kelly earlier. His comment in that opening press conference, I wrote it down and I've repeated it 1,000 times since then, and it's stuck in my brain. That when asked about his future and his potential of having the job going forward after this season, he said, "I'm not worried about that. All I'm worried about is attacking this moment with confidence." And that is just, I mean, if there's you put that on a damn t-shirt and live your life by that standard.
Yeah.
Attack a moment with confidence. Like that to me, you're nervous about a thing, you're concerned about a future, you know what? You can't do anything about that. All you can do is attack the moment that you're in with confidence. And I think that is just a brilliant statement. And I think that's exactly what Antonio Pierce is doing as well. And guess what? That fires people up because as you mentioned, that ain't nobody worried about their contract right now. And nobody worried about, is this team going to make the playoffs? And that's not what they're worried about. They're worried about week in, week out, being 1-0. And that's why they're celebrating. And anybody that's the celebration police and wants to poo-poo on the Raiders for the way that they're embracing success, man, I got one of these 5 fingers on each hand for you. I'll just say that because, I love the idea that people don't like what we're doing because guess what? That's being a Raider. We don't do shit the way that you like it to be done. Yes. We do things our own way. And so that idea that, and I don't know, and I didn't see any of the post stuff. I saw Devontae dance in the locker room, but I don't know if they got another 100 cigars fired up yet or not. But if they do, more power to them. Do whatever you're going to do, Raiders, and whatever you want them, you want to enable Antonio Pierce. I think it's awesome. And that's, again, because it's the moment. This is all you can control. Tomorrow will take care of itself. And, there's so many cliches about,
there is.
You know what I mean? Like tomorrow is yesterday's today or today is tomorrow, whatever all that stuff is. I don't know.
But it comes down to, and again, I don't know. I know people are fired up and anything is possible. I never say anything is impossible, right? But Antonio Pierce becoming the full-time coach, I don't know if it'll happen. I really don't. I couldn't sit here today and say, I think it's going to happen or I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know. But I do know that the man is a force multiplier, right? He's a guy who gets fired up and it's contagious. When you're around people like that, it's contagious. You heard the broadcasters talking about it tonight. You hear the players talk about it. You hear fans. You met him last week at Crab Fest, which we're going to talk about here right before we leave. So that's a good thing. So Raider fans should feel good about that. And it's a positive move. It's in the right direction. And winning 2 games in a row is a good start for this team. And we'll see where the next 2 weeks take them. Now, Murph, we know, obviously, with the One Nation Foundation, you were in Las Vegas last week and you attended Crab Fest. So tell me a little bit about that. I know Mark Davis donated $250,000 to the Blitnikoff Foundation, which is huge. But you guys were there. You, Michelle, and Jeff were there. And there's somebody in the comments who said that, by the way, they want Jeff to dress up like Taylor Swift for your show before the Chiefs game, which I am full support of. So, Jeff, if you're out there, I think Murph's going to get you a blonde wig, so get ready.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, but run us through that. Tell us how the event was. I watched the show, so I saw you guys do the show there. It was amazing having all those people on, and you guys were having a great time. Seeing you all dressed up, seeing Jeff with his hair all done nicely and all that jazz. It was fun. But tell us about it. Tell us about the great news with the donation and everything that went down.
Oh, thank you. And to address the comment there in the chat. So Jeff's dad, shout out Woody, is famous here in a local radio station in Nashville for kind of breaking Taylor Swift back in the day, and so there's kind of a connection back in there. But anyways, so yeah, Jeff's got a unique connection to all that stuff. But anyways, we'll dress him up anytime you want. If the Raiders keep winning, Swaggo will dress up like Taylor Swift every week. I don't give a shit. We just keep it rolling. But anyways, but appreciate you bringing up about the Crab Fest. It was the best one yet that we have had a chance to attend. And Mark Davis, that show off, giving out $250,000. He's got a few more bucks than we do, but we were able to give $15,000 on behalf of Raider Nation. Though, we were so thrilled to be part of that event once again, and so much respect to all of those of you that enabled us to give that donation. And we always, whether it was on the check presentation or in conversations with Fred and his lovely wife Angela, who runs the foundation, we always note that these donations don't come from us here at Raiders Fan Radio, that we raise our money through the One Nation Foundation, and 100% of that money comes from your generosity. It comes from direct donations. It comes from merchandise sales. It comes from advertising. It comes from all those amazing folks that give to the foundation. Scott, you and Mo have been amazing, and thank you for this platform first and foremost, but also your generosity in giving to the foundation. Shout out Will Compton and his generosity. We've had corporate sponsors. I'll save you the long list, and I could spend an hour just telling you how thankful we are for everybody. But to get to the event was absolutely insane. It was the best. I mean, we had a front row seat to Antonio Pierce's second speech as a head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. I mentioned earlier, all the Raiders brass was there. So many of the Hall of Famers were there. We were so thankful to get to interview a lot of them that were in attendance. Just by time constraints, we didn't get to everybody, even though we had, this is how good it was, Scott. We had Jim Plunkett jump line in front of Sandra Douglas Morgan, so we didn't get a chance to speak to her because the Super Bowl freaking MVP jumped in line.
Yeah, he's allowed to do that.
Yeah, exactly, right? And so, so that was the kind of experience that it was for us. It's a fan's dream come true, and if you ever have a chance to attend the event, I would highly encourage you to do so. Scott, we'd love to see you out there next year if you can make it out. It's absolutely incredible. And again, we can't thank the Biletnikoffs enough. We are very proud to be, I told Fred, I said, think of us as an extension of your fundraising, because we're going to continue to work with them. We're going to get bigger and better each and every year. And we're also going to continue to work with the good folks at Raider Dad. We're going to get that bigger and better with our buddy Josh Caminite,
yes,
where we're taking underprivileged kids to Raider games. So a lot of cool stuff going on with the One Nation Foundation. And thank you to all of those of you that have supported us throughout this year, and look forward to seeing where this thing is going to go. And again, chat room, I can't read it, but we just know we love you guys, man. And know that we always, again, make a very distinct point about the idea that it's you all, it's the listening audience that makes this stuff happen. We're just the, knuckleheads with microphones that like to talk about our favorite football team.
I love it, man. And great work by all of you guys on that. It's amazing to be just a tiny, tiny part of it. It makes me proud too, because I love what you guys are doing. It's a huge, huge deal. And if you guys don't know about it, make sure you follow Raiders Fan Radio. If you don't already watch it, please do go subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the podcast, wherever you get your audio, and you'll see the job they do all the time. Go, Murph.
Can I tell you super quick, Speaking of Antonio Pierce, give you an idea how cool this guy is and something that you can get in on to help us fundraise for next year, Raider Nation. Swag Jeff was over there taking a picture with Antonio Pierce, and he said, "Hey, coach," he goes, "we've got some jerseys. If you get a chance, we'd love to have you sign them." Wow. We had 4 One Nation Foundation jerseys with the number 23 for the year made up. And of course, anybody that was on the show was signing them as they're coming in. We didn't interview Antonio Pierce, but when Jeff said that to him, he said, "Well, let's just do it right now." So Antonio Pierce went over there and signed all these jerseys for us. We're going to be auctioning those off this year on Raiders Fan Radio, so stay tuned. Not only will you have Antonio Pierce on there, you'll have 2 of the 3 Raiders Super Bowl MVPs on there. Hall of Famers are on there. Chris McDonald, Dennis Haysbert. It's absolutely incredible pieces of that. I've one of this. It's similar to this one that I have hanging up over here. We've got George Atkinson and Lincoln Kennedy and Greg Townsend and whatnot. Amazing. And we're going to get them JSA certified, so they're legit pieces. But again, it all goes, anything that we auction them off for all goes to the foundation. But I just want to tell you that how cool in person, how cool Antonio Pierce is, man. He is what he says he is, and how he presents he is. Yeah.
That's good, man. When you meet somebody like that and they're genuine, you could tell too, right? You could tell immediately with people like that are genuine and really mean what they say. But again, just great work by you guys. And I know we're working on something too. Actually, I forgot to tell you, I'm telling you on the show, I have a call tomorrow with our guy on that issue, the thing we're working on. So I'll catch up with you tomorrow afternoon once I talk to him. So very cool stuff in the works there.
Thank you
guys.
So
and
kind.
make sure you guys all support the One Nation Foundation. All our super chats are going there. And I should have mentioned that earlier when we kicked off the show. I didn't, but if it's okay, you don't have to do it here. You can always go to Raiders Fan Radio on Wednesday evenings, and do that as well. So it's good. Listen, Raiders 16-12 winners over the New York Jets, and just a great day to be a Raider fan. I mean, this team fought hard for this game, and it was a big win. Love to see Aiden O'Connell play well, and to see this defense just, again, since the Charger game, they continue to pour it on, make big plays when they have to. They have now given up just 3 touchdowns in 3 games. Amazing, going back to the Lions game. So you got to like what's going on with this Raiders team. Murph, man, as always, thank you so much for being with us, especially into the wee hours for us on this one, the primetime night games. But we'll get in touch with you next week because they'll be on the East Coast. They'll play early for the West Coast. For us, it's middle of the afternoon, which is great. But we'll talk to you after that game. We'll see how the Raiders are able to handle that big Miami offense.
Look forward to it, Scott. We do an annual event around here, though, always the Sunday before Thanksgiving. We call it Italian Thanksgiving. We cook up pizza. We cook up sausage and peppers. We have a lot of sauce, rigatoni, meatballs, the whole 9 yards. We get the whole family together to be like 50 of us here. We're going to all be freaking eating amazing food and rooting on the Raiders. So we'll be coming to you live, and there might be a bunch of Italians back here behind me yelling.
I love it. All right, brother. You take care of yourself.
All right, let's get in the fins. Let's go.
There you go. Murph from Raiders Fan Radio. Always fun, man. I love doing the post-game shows with Murph. Always brings positivity. Even when things are tough, he's positive, which is great. But I want to thank you guys all for joining us here on this live show. After the game, just fun to watch the Raiders tonight. It was. I know it gave a lot of you a heart attack at certain times when you were going back and forth on what was going on with this game. But you got to love the positive momentum for this Raiders team. You got to love, again, what the defense is doing. You got to like the fact that the rookie quarterback is learning. Yes, he's going to make mistakes, but that throw to Michael Mayer made it all worth it. And I hope to see a lot more of that connection coming up in Miami on Sunday. But do us a favor. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your audio. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit the like. Again, sorry for the technical issue where we had to split the stream and get over on this one, just one of those crazy YouTube things that happened. So thanks for being with us and hanging with us and coming over to the second version of this show and doing that. We appreciate it. We will be back on Tuesday. Mo and I will be back on Tuesday. We'll go through the game one more time, get a little more technical with it, and talk about what we saw and what the Raiders did well enough to win what was going to be a low-scoring game anyway. So we appreciate you being with us. As always, without you guys, we're not here. So thank you for being with us. For our producer, Mike Rabier, for Mo Moten, for Murph, I am Scott Branson. This has been Silver and Black Today. Everybody, take care and have a good week ahead.